TAZZY, welcome to my channel, and we are here today to review Beastars Volume 3. I'm very excited. This manga series just keeps getting better and better and better with every beautiful word and picture. Again, this series was written and illustrated by Paru Itagaki. Just a disclaimer here, I have watched the anime for Beastars. It is available on Netflix currently in the dubbed version, which is how I consumed it. So that does influence the way I react to some of the things in the manga because it does follow pretty strictly the same storyline from what I've read so far. But I'm excited to get to the point where we get past what the anime has depicted and I can get into some new, fresh content. But for now, I'm very excited just to read the story that I love and to read it in the original way that Paru Itagaki has written it and the way that she basically saw it in her mind. I'm very excited about all of this. So let's get into it. Volume 3 of Beastars covers from chapters 17 to 25, so let's start off with the first chapter. Chapter 17 is the Howl Reluctance Syndrome, and this chapter starts off with Legoshi really gaining popularity at school because he was on stage and people got to see his little face beat up a guy on stage, which was obviously very exciting in the school. Next, we move on to Rui talking with Bill and Legoshi about their suspension. In this time, the reporters drop down upon them and put Rui on the spot, which basically forces him to tell the reporters that it was a staged fight, and with that, he decided not to suspend them because he would have been caught in a lie. So, still showing much of that pride, my dude. I can't even begin to imagine having that much pride in such a deer-like body. Oh god. Then Jack and Legoshi are having lunch together and Legoshi is avoiding the crowds. He is sitting on a staircase outside instead of being in the cafeteria because he wants to avoid people just yelling and talking at him, I think. All the time while they're talking, Legoshi is thinking about how Jack must assume that it was a fake fight and questioning if he knew it was real. And then Jack just blurts out, "I know that was a real fight. Like, it must have been something serious. I know you're a very calm person. We've been friends since childhood and I've never seen you do anything like that. So it must have been very serious." And this was a really cool moment for me because I really love Jack as a character, and this just showed how well he knew Legoshi in general. It showed Jack as being a childhood friend for him, and I think that Jack is gonna continue to be that angel on his right-hand shoulder type of character, the morality base that he needs to be able to overcome his insatiable feelings of needing to murder somebody. The chapter ends off in the spiciest way humanly possible, or animally possible, I suppose. With revealing that Haru and Rui have had sex, dude. They're doing it! I remember watching the anime and seeing this for the first time and just being completely, like, boom, boom, knocked the heck out by the introduction of this fact. I found this to be an absolute killer way to shake up a very slow burning story. And she left it at that. She just showed that they have slept together and left it there for the next chapter. It was such a good cliffhanger for the first chapter of this manga. Then we move on to chapter 18, which is called The Beast Spawn Festival in the Summer. This chapter starts off with Legoshi and his Kanede roommates shedding themselves or trimming themselves for the summer and talking about selling their fur to a weaver. So I thought this was really cool. Preparations for the Meteor Festival begin. It is introduced to us, which actually this point I'm not sure came across to me when I watched the anime, but basically in this world, the animals that are currently living, they worship, not necessarily worship, but they treat dinosaurs as if they were some kind of gods. So there is a festival coming up called the Meteor Festival, and this is a festival representing the day that the meteor fell to Earth and killed off most of the dinosaurs. And like I said, they worship the dinosaurs. They're seen as gods, is how it's explained in the manga, which is really weird to me because that's as if we worshipped Neanderthals like gods. And I can't see us doing that. Can you? It just seems like a weird concept based on the human equivalent, but I see where she was going with it, and I'm into it. During the chapter, the drama club is asked to participate within the Meteor Festival by helping decorate. And all of the actors and the dancers are like, yes, this is great, absolutely perfect. And then the production team goes, great, but we have to do all of the work. So they begin working by taking an inventory of what they had done in the past, which was giant sculptures of dinosaurs. And they said, these were great for last year, but we cannot reuse them. We're going to have to do something else. And then in the hallways, Haru is walking and she finds a beautiful flower that has wilted. So she decides to take it with her to nurse it back to health to bring it back. And on her way to the gardening club, she is tripped again by Mizuchi. I really don't like this rabbit. I think that she has an awful personality. And I think that's probably the point of her character, is so that we don't like her. So, you got me, Paru. You made me feel the way you wanted me to feel. So Mizuchi trips her in the hall. She falls on her face, breaks the vase, and then gets soaked in water yet again. Mizuchi, you got her 2 times with the soaking wet prank. Mizuchi starts to get mad at Haru, and then Haru asks the questions, well, obviously, you and your boyfriend didn't get back together, so stop bothering me. You're small-minded. You guys are pathetic. I hope that you go extinct. And she starts yelling at these girls because she wants to show that she has a backbone, and they start to visibly get scared and back away. And they say, we're not getting devoured with you. And she's like, what? And turns around and Legoshi's there. And then I think that's the point where we jump into the next chapter, which we jump into chapter 19, which is Bow Wow Your Name. So in this chapter, they meet again for the first time in a month after she took her clothes off and he ran away. And he tries to help her, and he's like, were you just being bullied? Do you get bullied often? I feel so bad. And she's like, I don't take pity from guys that I've slept with. And that's a really fun little character moment for her, because I totally believe her. And he slams his hand on the wall because he simply cannot control himself. He's just gotta be as creepy as possible. And he was like, but we didn't do anything. So she was like, oh yeah, all right, like, I'm hungry. Do you want to go to the cafeteria? So they end up eating a meal together. And the entire time, Legoshi is trying to figure out a way to ask Haru for her name. He still didn't know what her name was. And he was just thinking in his head, I've seen her in her underwear, but I don't know her name. And that's not the type of relationship that I want. And then the entire time that he's thinking about asking her for her name, she's thinking about the fact that every single time he opens his mouth to eat, her body instinctively jerks like she's trying to run away. So she sticks it out for the whole meal, and then she's like, gotta go, that's enough of this feeling of panic. Even though, admittedly, she thinks that Legoshi is a really nice guy and she wants to get to know him, but just her instincts are telling her that he is gonna eat her. Chapter 20 is called The Customer Who Sits Next to Me, and this is probably my favorite chapter from this manga, which is super weird because it's kind of a filler chapter. But I really thought it was very endearing. I love the characters that came out of it, and again, it's just setting the tone for what the world is like and how animals fit into these categories and how they work in a society as opposed to in the wild. This chapter, we meet Legome, who is a chicken. She's a hen, and she is so cool. I really love this character. I don't care if this is a filler chapter. I like her. So basically, she has to sit next to Legoshi in one of her classes based on the alphabetical order that they sit in. And Legoshi eats an egg sandwich every Wednesday, and she reveals that it's her eggs that he's eating. And the entire chapter just follows her along, and she explains how she does all of these healthy things just so that she can have the most high quality eggs, and that she sells them in the cafeteria store there at school. She says outright, I don't do this so that people are happy with my eggs. I do this for myself. And she says that specifically, and that's something that I relate to. I'm not particularly invested in a number on a scale or the way that other people look at me, but I am invested in the way that I look at myself and how I feel about me and the clothes that I wear, which is why I look like this. Next is chapter 21, which is the Renaissance with the outside world. In this chapter, we start with Legoshi and Jack and another Kanade, their hyena friend, I can't remember his name, and they're playing chess with a couple of herbivores. And then the news comes on, revealing that a gazelle had been killed and devoured, and that one of the members of the gang that devoured her was a gray wolf. After seeing this, the herbivores got uncomfortable and they left, and it's just very upsetting. And then the Kanade talk about how this happens and how the herbivores always get upset when things like this happen, even though it has nothing to do with them. They're just a little disappointed because they're being discriminated against regardless of the fact that they haven't done any crimes, with the exception of Legoshi, who tried to kill someone. So are they wrong? As they're leaving, Legoshi forgot his backpack. He turns back around and he comes upon a scene of a couple of first years bullying another first year. And Legoshi comes up and he's like, how do I stop this fight? And I don't know why, but his idea was, I'm her brother. And then he turns the corner and realizes he doesn't look anything like her. And then the bullies leave because he's huge. So I don't know why he thought up a lie when he could have just been like, hey, you're bullying someone, see you later. I'm huge. And she reveals her name is Juno. She's very sweet in this scene and she begins to cry. And Legoshi says, wow, you should be proud of the fact that you're still able to cry about this because it still makes you angry. She reveals that she is in the drama club, even though they haven't met before because, again, she's a first year. They just did their first year show, so he hasn't met any of the first years that have come in yet. And then in the drama club, Rui comes in and he explains that he's giving out the itinerary for the Meteor Festival, and he explains that only the carnivores are going to be allowed to go into town because of the crime. So basically, the herbivore students are not allowed to leave the school or go into town until the criminals that devoured the gazelle on the street are caught. And Rui really punctuates that point by telling them not to go to the black market. They reveal the existence of the black market, and Ellen, the zebra, says, well, is the black market even real? Like, I didn't think it was real. And Bill says that it's just a place that they sell pornography for carnivores, and then he asks her out on a date because he thinks her stripes are cute. So, like, that was an 100% Bill moment, and I loved every second of it. Next is chapter 22, and it is called Together with Bill's Shadow. And we cross over into the city, which is where the exciting stuff really happens. So the boys have presumably finished what they needed to do. They get on the train, and Legoshi thinks they're going back to school, but Bill reveals that they're actually going deeper into the town so that they can go get something to eat. They don't go to the black market yet at this point. They're just going to a food court where Legoshi eats some fries. They just wanted to get non-cafeteria food. And then on their way back to school, they're trying to find the train station and get completely lost. And then they come upon a street person, and Legoshi bends down to ask direction, and the street person reveals that he's got fingers missing, and the fingers that are left he has prices on, and he said, you can pay this and eat this finger, just make sure you do it in one bite. And Legoshi is like, what? Bill pushes him out of the way, and he was like, if you're telling me I can pay $700 and eat this finger, I'm going to an ATM. Boys, if we pool our money, we can share this finger. Legoshi, again, tries to pick a fight with Bill here, and he's like, I can't believe you would do this. You can't do this. And then Alba actually steps in and says, well, Legoshi, like, if we were at school, I would agree with you. You shouldn't eat people's fingers, but we're at the black market right now, and you saw the people from town. They were all happy and peaceful. Well, that's because this place exists, because carnivores are able to get meat from this sustainable source. They aren't going out and killing people, and people are able to stay happy. Next is chapter 23, which is Falling Down the Stairs of Adulthood. In this chapter, it starts with a conversation that Legoshi and Haru had the night that they spent together, and she had asked him how do you see me? And he couldn't answer that question. And that was obviously haunting him in his brain, because obviously he doesn't know if he sees her as a romantic option for him or as an edible option for him. Legoshi tries to get out of the market, and then he passes out because he is so anxiety ridden. And then he is found by Gohin the panda. Next chapter is chapter 24, the visualized reality. In this chapter, Legoshi wakes up and he has been muzzled and chained to something, and he is completely restricted. And I remember seeing this for the first time in the anime and thinking, wow, he's been kidnapped. This show is getting real really fast. But no, it was Gohin, and he was asking him what he was doing in the black market. And then he began to explain to Legoshi that most carnivores that go into the black market and pass out the way that he did do so because they had already tasted real flesh and they had killed someone. I really like this chapter. I really like Gohin as a character. He is a psychologist to carnivores. He's trying to save lives by saving people's psyches and hopefully stopping carnivores before they kill people or before they harm themselves. He reveals that there was one puma that even chewed his own arm off because he was so obsessed with the meat that he had tasted when he killed someone. Finally, we get into the last chapter of this manga, which is chapter 25. My eyes filled with tears, my heart filled with sorrow. So he asked him, who did you kill? And he explained that he almost killed someone, but that they were friends now. And Gohin was just totally thrown back by this, and he said, you tried to eat a girl, but you still talk to her? And then he explained that a lot of times when carnivores are feeling a romantic attraction or obsession towards one person, it's because they want to eat them. And Legoshi throws all of this aside. He doesn't believe him, and he leaves. On his way out of the alley, bumps into Aoba. And he said, Aoba, what are you doing here? Like, he's probably been gone for hours at this point because he got knocked out, and then he talked to Gohin for a while. And Aoba said, I freaked out when they were buying that guy's finger. I couldn't do it. I just kept thinking about my herbivore friends, and I couldn't do it. It was really reassuring for Legoshi to hear that another predator couldn't go through with the act for the same reasons that he couldn't. He couldn't imagine himself hurting someone else. This is the best volume that I've read so far of this series, and that's just because of the content itself. Obviously, the introduction of the black market was excellent, and it's such an interesting idea, an idea that just makes sense. I loved Legome. She was absolutely my favorite character introduced in this manga, so thank you, Legome, for being a fitness queen. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you did, feel free to click the like button and tell me that you liked it, because I won't know unless you tell me. Or leave me a comment down below of what you thought of Volume 3 or what you think of Beastars in general. I'd love to start a conversation with anyone about Beastars. I've gotten a couple of my friends to watch the show, but none of them feel the same way that I do about it. They just can't get past the furry nonsense. Hashtag freedom for fan service. If you'd like to see more of my content, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be making a lot more manga reviews. I hope you have a beautiful day. See ya!